politics of the Elizabethan era, a time period many historians call the Golden Age. Called the Golden Age not for any vast amounts of gold rushes, but for Queen Elizabeth and her empire's richness in unique independence, patriotism, and powerful political history. Hi, I'm Matthew C., and I'll be walking you through a journey of the Elizabethan politics. Before we indulge in the rich history of the Elizabethan politics, I am going to tell you a bit of background information you need to know about the life of the Queen. Born on the 7th of September, 1533, daughter of King Henry VIII and his second of 6 wives, Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth would become the second of the third generation of Tudors to reign. The birth of Elizabeth was anticipated and expected to be a male birth, but this was not the case. This led to charges on Elizabeth's mother for incest and adultery on the 19th of May, 1536. After these charges, Anne's marriage to King Henry VIII was declared void, and Anne was executed. After these charges, Elizabeth was deprived from her place in line of succession, putting her behind her stepsister, Mary I, who was also deprived. Mary I would reign England on the 19th of July, 1553, and later on earn the title Mary, Queen of Scots. Her reign would go on for 5 years, ending with a brutal conclusion. Mary, Queen of Scots, being a Catholic, was a possible threat to the Protestants of England, thus compelling the English monarchy to behead the Queen, Mary I. The Welsh-English family reigned England and Wales with only 3 generations from 1485 to 1603, ending with Queen Elizabeth's reign. This English era was one of the most influential on the English life of today, as it was a time when the English Empire took their first steps towards modernizing the English culture, as well as a massive expansion of the European powers. Queen Elizabeth would start her reign on the 17th of November, 1558, on the execution day of Mary, Queen of Scots. Elizabeth would become the 5th Tudor and one of the youngest ever to inherit the throne. For Queen Elizabeth, this was a heavy task. She had inherited a bankrupt empire in the middle of one of Europe's largest religious wars. During the time of Queen Elizabeth's reign, there was a massive religious war between the Catholics and Protestants, the Spanish Empire against the English. At this time, the Spanish Empire conquered the majority of Europe. This left England as one of the only other major religious centers. England was the only other country standing in the way of Spain's plans on conquering all of Europe and transforming it into a whole Catholic continent. This war played a huge role in the politics of the Elizabethan era. Not only was the religious base of England at threat, but so was the life of Elizabeth I. Over the 50 years of Queen Elizabeth single-handedly ruling England, she spent more than 20% of it in this war standing up for the religious rights of her nation and against many Spanish Catholic assassins. Years after England winning the religious war against Spain, the Elizabethan reign ended with her death. The English monarchy lamented the passing of their queen. Many say that the queen was one of the world's greatest leaders and the world's greatest monarch. Elizabeth had a strong reputation for her motherly character, her courage, strength, and devoting her life to preserving English peace and stability. During her 50 years of reign, not only did she win a very unlikely war, but during her time, the English population expanded 400% since the first Tudor reign, and raised many great artists who greatly influenced the modern world, one of which being William Shakespeare. This has been a Matthew C. production, and this concludes our journey through the politics of the Elizabethan era. Thank you for watching.
This has been a Matthew C. production. This concludes the journey through the politics and of the Elizabeth era. Ngoi.